It is not my nature to go quietly into the night. Team.
Yep, we sure are going to miss her. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name's Luke Radowski here of thebestpoliticalshow.com, and we are once again live after a long little vacation, as of course there's a lot of news to get into today, as we're going to have a changing of the guard. Are we? As there are some serious questions regarding the inauguration of Donald Trump, as authorities are preparing for the worst case scenario ahead of Trump's inauguration. There's also talk about an Epstein list dump, as Trump's attorney general pick says that she's going to be naming names and revealing them, as we are also going to be playing a game called Florida or Dubai, as our guest here is going to be discussing the larger benefits of living in Dubai, as well as a larger kind of deeper down the rabbit hole conversation with Zuby, which we're going to get to in just a little bit. As of course, as you could see, we're doing things a little bit differently. We have a little dispute going on with a previous company. So what we're doing right now is that this is actually a live stream, but only for members of LukeUnfiltered.com. Members now get to chat, they get to call in, and of course, you guys get priority over everyone else just because you guys are members. And then we're going to upload the video to YouTube right after it's done. But if you want to be a part of it, sign up to LukeUnfiltered.com. The link is down in the description below. It's cheap, it's easy, it's quick, it's effective, and we do a lot of great things for members. We're doing a range day, February 1st, here in South Florida, and our friend Tatiana Moroz is doing a big event here in Miami, and a limited amount of members also get free tickets to that particular event. The details of that are in the members area, which you should go check out right now, as of course we are going to be going live a lot, and you guys will be able to be a part of it just as members. First-time callers also get free supplements from wearechange.shop. And if you guys want a super chat, we appreciate you guys using mysuperchat.com, which gives us the Streamlabs link, but you don't have to. We're going to try to read your chats anyway because you guys are members of LukeUnfiltered.com. So thank you for dealing with us. I know today we dealt with some little bit of technical difficulties, but it's good to be back. I haven't done this show in quite a while, and we definitely are trying to rearrange the chairs here on the Titanic as we are dealing with financial doom and uncertainty. But anyway, today we have a very special DEI version of the show, as we have the women's weightlifting champion joining us here today, and that, of course, is Zuby. Zuby, for the people who don't know you, who are you, and how would you introduce yourself?
Yo, what's up? My name is Zuby. I'm an independent rapper, author, host of the Real Talk with Zuby podcast, public speaker, internationally known women's deadlift champion. Known for many different things by many different people all over the world at this stage, but ultimately I'm an artist and a creative entrepreneur. I aim to uplift and inspire and motivate people in all aspects of life, from truth-seeking to physical fitness.
Awesome. Well, it's good to have you here. We just finished wrapping up your show. Yeah. Great show. We're definitely going to put the link down in the description so people could go find it. And it's going to be interesting to talk about the larger kind of lifestyle that you had, because it's a little different than our kind of lifestyle. So we'll get into all of that, and it should be a great show. As, of course, another DEI hire is, of course, Martha Bueno, who also is here joining us here. And she is not a weightlifting champion, as you could see.
Ouch. Wow. Hi, Luke. It's great to see you. I've missed you so much. Yeah, and thanks for that intro. And you can find me at Bueno for Miami on X and on Instagram.
Good to see you. We missed you. Haven't seen you in a while.
Last time I saw you, we were at the White House of the South.
Yes, we were at Mar-a-Lago. We just posted
Mar-a-Lago.
Same thing. We just posted a vlog. We have a new YouTube channel that we're experimenting and working on. So we have the Mar-a-Lago vlog available on Luking Out on YouTube, but LUKEINGOUT on YouTube. Go check it out, because we're going to be releasing a lot of kind of vlogs and confrontations and real life stuff on that particular YouTube channel. As of course, someone that I have been seeing way too much of is Liza Trainer, also another DI hire. Liza?
Super.
Speak into the mic.
Liza Trainer.
Louder.
Well, this thing's gonna fall off the table.
I know.
Liza Trainer X on Liza Trainer on X, and it's Liza Trainer X.
All right, and then someone else is here pushing the buttons. Who's that?
Steph, this is Steph. We are Change Pushing the Button. Super happy to be back in the button pusher seat.
All right, let's get right into it. As of course, there's a lot to discuss, especially when it comes to the changing of the guard. As today, there's a video showing the picture of Joe Biden being taken down from federal buildings as it is soon going to be replaced with Donald J. Trump. Now, this transformation definitely is a major one. I know a lot of people are expecting a lot of things to happen here, as we also just got the announcement a few hours ago that President Trump has just moved his inauguration inside because of cold weather. Now, I think this is smart to do, not just because of cold weather, because there is cold weather. It's January. It's Washington, D.C. It is absolutely frigid there. But I think there's also other things at play here that are a little bit more strategic to do inside rather than, in a huge open field with drones flying around that we still haven't properly identified and have no idea about. Am I being too conspiratorial, or is it just the weather? What do you guys think?
I think people really want to hurt this incoming president, so I'm cool with it being moved indoors. I plan on being there, so this is wonderful for me. I hope I'm nice and toasty warm rather than freezing in a crowd with a million other people.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be open to the public. I think it's going to be inside of the Capitol. And this happened before. This happened in 1985 with, I believe, Reagan? And to me, a little bit more of a smarter kind of decision to make here, as of course, I'm automatically, thinking about the drones. Now, am I too conspiratorial here, or with the times that we're living in, does it make sense?
How many times did they try and take out President Trump or President-elect Trump? I don't know what to call him at this point. He was the former president, so soon to be former
inaugurated President Trump.
President Trump just works for me, but. Yeah, they've tried to take him out. I think that it's smart that he's. I would have said do it on Air Force One, but whatever.
Yeah. We are 3 days away. Do you think there's going to be some shenanigans at play here? Zuby, do you think there's going to be something that could potentially unfold here, or do you think this is going to be a kind of peaceful transition of power?
You can never say 100% either way. I think it's going to be smooth and peaceful. I think it's gonna. I don't see anything.
Zuby's known as an optimist, and I think that this is your optimistic side. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine.
Everybody's like, "You're gonna go to Washington. You're gonna die." And
no, I think it'll be all right.
You're gonna freeze.
All right.
I
will freeze.
I do too. I think it's going to be okay. I think they realize that if they do something, it's going to shoot them in the foot, just like most of the things that they've done, where it really isn't beneficial to them. I mean, if they attack the crowd and do something in the crowd, which crowd are they attacking? Are they attacking the Trump crowd, or are they attacking protesters?
Well, the last time I was at the inauguration, there was a lot of Black Bloc protesters. They burnt down a limousine that was someone that was owned by a minority.
Yep. That's what I'm saying.
I remember covering it and reporting. I was live. It was me, Tim Pool, Lauren Southern in the crowd there, and I remember we were all kind of corralled by police officers. It was a full-on riot, and there was just a group of people with just hammers smashing everything up, going crazy, tear gas everywhere. I got pepper sprayed very severely there, and then as soon as the corral was kind of happening, I made sure, I was like, listen, there's a huge wall of tear gas here. I'm just going to have to go right through it in order not to get surrounded. Tim Pool ended up getting surrounded, and then he was detained for a few hours. I made sure to get out no matter how much tear gas and pepper spray was thrown my way. I was covered with it, but I was able not to, of course, face any larger kind of detention. We got out there, and then, of course, everything then was just, pretty normal. But a lot of the people that did riot throughout the first inauguration, this was when 2016, there was serious charges placed on them, and then all the charges were kind of dropped later. And there was even, I believe, restitution for a lot of the Black Bloc protesters that were breaking up and destroying a lot of private property all around the inauguration that was happening, because prosecutors couldn't identify them because of them having face masks on as well.
So what I'm hearing is bring face masks. But what I'm really excited for is in the next 3 days, hopefully we'll see the freedom of Ross Ulbricht as well as the January 6th people. So really excited for that, actually.
Yes. What are you guys most excited about with this new Trump administration? If you had like a magic wand and a wish list of things that he promised to do, what would be on the top of that list?
Well, I just gave you mine. Zuby, what's yours? Clearly, Free Ross has been my thing. It's pretty awesome. It's like the libertarian cause. Reason just put out a video today about Ross's case, and it's really good, actually.
Yeah, if you were president of the United States, what would be your number one kind of initiative to carry out day one as the president of the United States that there was an attempted assassination on twice now that we know of?
Fix the border situation.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, sorry, we're keep talking. No one else could hear that.
That's only for us.
That's only for us here. I'm going to make sure
I would say the first thing is getting the border under control. To me, that strikes me as the most obvious and immediate thing that needs to be sorted out. I think everything else is secondary or tertiary to that, in my personal opinion.
What about you, Liza? That just gets louder and louder.
I'm looking
and
for
louder.
it. It's in my browser. No one could hear it but us. No one else could hear it. Keep
Somebody
talking,
hacked
Liza.
us.
Somebody take your
Liza, keep talking. What are you looking for,
There
too?
is a crowd cheering. Yay.
They're cheering Luke with his
Yes, they're
flamethrower.
cheering
Yes.
Luke. It's for Luke's fundraiser.
No one else could hear it. Keep
That's-
going.
Yeah, it's just terrible to listen to. So, Liza, what are you looking forward to? What would you do if you were president for a day?
Cancel the taxes and get Luke out of Hawk.
Yeah.
There's supposedly the IRS guy, what is his name? The guy that's in charge of the IRS right now just resigned. Did he resign or was he ousted?
I think most people are like resigning because they're scared of what's to
Yeah.
come. My big question with what we were talking about just before that is what happens if the president-elect doesn't get inaugurated? Like if something happens beforehand, like who is the president? Is it Biden still?
Probably J.D. Vance.
But if
Yeah,
he's
I
not
would
inaugurated, like if something happens before the inauguration, what is the
Yeah,
order?
what's the
Because normally
what's
it's
the protocol?
Then
Yeah.
it would be the
Probably Kamala Harris for a while, right? As a
Speaker of
stopgap.
the yeah. I
Speaker
think
of the
so.
House. Would it
Bite
be Nancy
your
Pelosi? Like, I wonder who knows this. This is like one of those things that's been like,
That's a good question.
yeah, you know,
Would it not just remain Biden temporarily?
I don't know. This is a great question. If
That's
anybody
a
knows,
horrible
please.
thought.
It is, but also like this is what I've been thinking about because I need Trump to get inaugurated so that he can free Ross, and that's my big thing. Is like he's got to make it to that moment, and what happens if he doesn't?
Steph, you're
think it would be
president of
Biden.
the United States. What's your
it would be J.D.
magic
Vance.
wand wish?
Back on
He's
what
gotta get
Martha
inaugurated.
was saying, I mean, it's only a few days from now. I mean, my family's having a party. Like, I'm getting ready to party.
Nothing bad is going to happen, so that's not a.
Yeah, I think it's going to be okay. I
Yeah,
really
it'll be
do.
all right.
Okay, but that's still a good question. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I think the reason I base that is they've had well over a year. I'm sure they are privy to all the statistics that we saw. They knew Trump was going to win, so a year ago they started to really plan what they're going to do to manipulate and maneuver around him, to destroy his his presidency. So
Well, I'm excited too for ending the Department of Education. I think that's a big one.
that's a good one.
That is a good one. I'm not excited for this external, what is it, IRS, the ERS?
External Revenue Service.
Revenue Service,
But if he
yeah.
gets rid of the IRS, right?
I know,
mean-
but like, can we not add new departments as we get rid? Like, can we just end it and be done with it? Like, why?
You guys just need to abolish taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
and
United
we
States
could.
used to run on tariffs.
Yeah. Well, they have done it in Dubai. We'll talk about that.
I grew up in a
little bit.
tax-free country, and I currently live in a tax-free country.
Just
Listen,
rub
don't
it in.
rub it in.
Just
Yeah,
rub
don't
it in.
It
Just
can
rub
be
it
done.
in. All right.
It
All
can
right,
be
but
done.
here's the thing: we don't actually use taxes to build the roads and fund the things. So just like eliminate the taxes and let us live our happy little lives.
But
you know?
where else will the corrupted Ukrainian oligarchs get all of their money laundering
We'll
done?
just
Like-
print it. We'll just print it for
The
them,
U-
like
the
we
UK.
do.
Yeah.
Come on, where do you think you
We'll
come
just keep
into
printing. It's
Where do
fine.
you think you come into office on a $400,000 a year salary or whatever, and now you wind up and you've got $300 million?
Yes. I mean, where's Sri Lanka going to get their speedboats, right? I mean, clearly this is a larger kind of issue here, as taxation is just a form of slavery and control. And they got me by the chutzpah personally themselves, which is not fun. SaveLukeNow.com, as Biden's national security advisor did come out with some very interesting statements that I think are worth listening to, as he just declared this a couple of days ago.
I just will say one last word, which is I hope this is my last time at this podium, at least for a little while. I don't mean that in a negative sense. I mean, the only thing that would bring me back is an unexpected event in the next few days, which, as you all know, is totally possible given everything you've seen over the course of the past years. But if it is, in fact, my last time before you, I just want to say thank you for what you guys do every day. Thank you for putting up with me.
Yeah.
That's a bit weird.
Unexpected event.
Who is that guy?
What could go wrong?
This is Biden's national security advisor who came out and made that specific
That's
announcement here. As that's a very kind of weird announcement.
That's weird.
But he
this
could
should
just
be
be
my
saying,
last time unless somebody assassinates or does something. Like, come on, dude.
Do you think he knows where the ammonium nitrate that went missing went? A whole
Probably.
train car full of ammonium nitrate? What could go wrong?
What
Where
could
would that
go
go?
wrong?
yeah, where did all that go missing? As
But
larger
they
questions
said,
still
they said
remain
it
about
wasn't
that.
dangerous.
Of course not.
Of course not.
Trust the science. Trust the authorities
Trust
here.
the politicians.
I think what he's kind of hinting at is that the last few months have been pretty damn crazy. And I think it's fair to assume that it's probably going to continue to get crazy. I think that's a kind of fair assessment, especially if we're going to have a larger kind of disclosures, especially when we're going to have someone who a lot of powerful people did not want to be in political office, now being at the helm of this larger federal bureaucracy that isn't too pleased with him being in there, as there was a lot of dirty tricks that were played against Donald Trump. They banned him on social media. They pressed a lot of personal and private kind of charges against him. He was facing 700 years in jail. He was a convicted felon. They tried to assassinate him. And still, out of everything that they threw against him, he became more powerful every time they did it. As even when the election first began, everyone wasn't really kind of that too excited about Trump. Let's remember a couple years ago, especially after the midterms in 2022, a lot of people were like, I don't know, I'm not sure about this. Maybe someone else should be the kind of Republican frontrunner here. There was a lot of those voices. But then every time they tried to stop him, they made him more powerful. And I think he is at the kind of ethos of being the most powerful that he has ever been. He has the House, he has the Congress, he has the Supreme Court. He now has all of the tech Silicon Valley heads literally at the front row of his inauguration. He has world leaders coming to him to Mar-a-Lago. And that is an extremely huge amount of power. How will he handle it is the question that I think a lot of us are asking. And how will he kind of proceed as a leader? So I'm personally looking at the first day and his Davos speech. I think those are going to be the biggest, most important kind of hallmarkers to what we're going to be seeing. But this is a lot of power. How would someone handle this in a kind of proper fashion is the question that I think a lot of us are asking ourselves.
Can anyone handle it in a proper fashion? Doesn't absolute power corrupt absolutely?
Just
Just a
throughout
question.
history. That's all.
Just a question,
Just throughout history.
I think the people around him give me quite a lot of hope and optimism. If you look at the situation now compared to 8 years ago, I think a lot of things have changed.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
it's massively.
Night and
I
day.
mean,
Night and day.
the temperature is lower in general. The level of division, you obviously have far more people supporting Trump. The fact that he smashed the popular vote as well as the Electoral College, that's a massive flip. I mean, 8 years ago, how many public figures or celebrities openly were Trump supporters?
Zero.
Count on one hand max, right? Probably zero under the age of 50, whereas now we can all name tons of people. But if you look at the people just surrounding him now, that gives me a lot of hope and optimism. And I think he himself learned a lot from, I mean, he said in his own words that the biggest mistake he made in his previous administration was some of the people who were around him.
Oh, yeah.
Having some of the war hawks, having some of the neocons and so on. And I think
Agree
he's-
wholeheartedly,
Yeah.
except for Tulsi Gabbard's change to get, like now she supports the
RFK.
FISA 702.
We picked up the best Democrats they had.
Oh, God. So,
what's the switch there?
oh, she was against for the longest time, forever. She was against the FISA warrantless spying on U.S. citizens. And then in order to get confirmed, she's now saying that she agrees with it. So I'm a little like, yay, all these people support Trump now, but the flip-flopping is happening. And
I think once you get into it, you realize that you have to compromise to some degree.
then what's the point? If you got
have
to compromise, then what's the point?
If you have to compromise to some degree, then you have to compromise.
Nah, I don't know.
You don't have to like it,
Well,
I
she's
certainly
also
don't.
facing a lot of very tough confirmation hearings. I think if anyone is facing the toughest battle to be confirmed a part of Trump's future administration, it's Tulsi Gabbard.
Interesting.
She is because she's facing the wrath of the left, and the left never forgets their enemies. They never forget the people
make
that
them.
turned on them. And she was, Tulsi Gabbard was supposed to be the rising star out of the Democratic political party. If you remember a long time ago, she was the one up there with like Bernie Sanders. She was the one headlining the DNC. She was a major kind of political force. And then she kind of came out and spoke about Syria and how the U.S. government and Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton were arming all the rebel groups that were, creating global jihadism in the world. And she really just kind of fell out of the party and had a lot of
Fell out, bushed out, whatever.
fell out. Pushed out,
If you have
taken
sensibility,
out.
I remember being on the Joe Rogan podcast way back in September 2019 when he was
Rub it in, rub it in.
when he was convinced when Joe was convinced that she was gonna win the Democratic primary. And
wow.
I remember saying on that show, I was like, Joe, she's in the wrong party.
Yeah.
Yeah, she
Like that was like, there's no way
He
on
was
earth.
so innocent back
I
then.
was like, Joe, there's no way they're gonna let her they're gonna and I didn't even say that because she's conservative or right wing or something. It's just like
No,
the
she was clearly left wing.
yeah, but their party was going so insane. This is like peak wokeness. Like
Right.
their party was going so insane that just being, I remember because her and Yang were like the
Yeah.
two sane ones, the two who you could have a conversation with.
Right.
And then,
And now she's Republican and he created the Forward Party.
Yeah.
What does that tell you about Democrats?
yeah, exactly.
And then Bernie Sanders really, I think, sold everyone out more than anyone else.
They messed him up over too, though, right?
And no, they screwed him over.
Yeah.
They totally abused their positions of power, and they created such an unfair situation for him. But he still, after being screwed over, after being humiliated, after being robbed by Debbie Wasserman Schultz from the DNC, now she's a congresswoman, he still came out and then he endorsed Hillary Clinton afterwards, and he kissed the ring.
Do you know what I think? And I guess this could swing. It should swing the other way, and I hope that when I'm an old man, I would, I would have the opposite approach. But I think, how old is Bernie Sanders?
Let me look that up.
Too old.
Yeah, in his
70
80s.
or 80.
I think so.
Okay,
He's pretty old.
yeah. I think that, as far as I know, I don't know his whole story, but as far as I know, he's like a lifelong leftist, right? Like socialist,
Yep.
borderline communist.
Venezuela's
So
great. Oh my God.
I kind of think
82. He's 82 years old.
After let's say 65 years of being an open socialist and being such a lefty, I almost think like just based on ego alone, you almost can't like change your mind
Yes.
publicly anyway, right?
It's not just ego. It's
like
how the brain works.
So,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
what's he gonna do at this stage? Like, he's just
But I believe he believes it.
yeah.
I mean, he absolutely believes it. And the wildest part is that, he is still there and like kissing the ring and like just like he's got to know that it's bullshit, right?
Yeah, he
He's
must.
got to.
Well, Tulsi, I think, knew that there was a larger opportunity here because when Bernie Sanders was running, she specifically made sure to support Joe Biden.
Yeah.
And so there was a big rift between Bernie Sanders and Tulsi Gabbard. And then Tulsi Gabbard came out and talked about how Bernie Sanders was really rude to her. So, women, right? Sorry.
He said
Cough
the
here.
whole show filled with women. It's okay, Luke.
I couldn't help myself. But she clearly is facing a big uphill battle when it comes to these confirmations. I think these confirmations are going to be the toughest for her. And there's a chance that she might not make it. And I think this is why we're seeing her
No.
kind of flip-flopping and
but
her
what's the
saying,
point?
I support this. Maybe she's being a politician. Maybe she's just saying it so she gets the Senate approval. Because it's not just the Democrats that hate her. It's also the neocons that hate her, especially for what she did exposing the war in Syria. So she could be just playing ball saying, no, guys, I'm with you guys on this stuff. But she could be also just politicking. That could also be the case here. So
I think
Yeah,
she's
that-
probably politicking. However, it's just like if you have to politic like that and you have to compromise on your morals, I don't really want you there anyways. Like this is what we used to call it flip-flopping. We used to call it like, oh, you used to believe this and now you believe this. And we used to call people out for this. And now it's like, oh, no, but she's just doing it because she needs to get into that seat.
Yeah, but she did torpedo Kamala's career pretty good. So
She did.
Not really.
she's always
Kamala's
gonna
still the
always
vice
gonna have a warm
president.
spot with me. Yeah, but she torpedoed her really beautifully.
And then she worked with Donald Trump.
I like Tulsi. Tulsi's awesome.
Yeah, she worked with
she's a good
Trump.
person,
I
so.
like Tulsi as well. I like Tulsi, which is why I'm upset because
Yeah.
I had this like, wow, Tulsi's this amazing person who torpedoed Kamala's career and then she became vice president, and who just like has
Diversity hire.
stood right has stood.
Okay, the boat didn't sink, but she torpedoed her.
Yeah. No, clearly she made Kamala. I can't even think of her name anymore. It's like she doesn't even exist for me.
Yay.
She definitely like made her look bad, and I love that she's always had these ideas, even though she's been on the opposite team. She's had these ideals and she's stuck by them. I'm just a little upset that she flip flopped on it because, again, her morals seem to be questionable.
I don't actually know anything about the situation, so
Well, I don't
I don't
care
know
for
about
her.
is it FISA? I don't know.
Yeah, so the United States can spy on all of us without a warrant because of this little piece of legislation that she's always been against. And now it's like, well, I guess FISA isn't so bad.
When did that come into
This past week when we've been out of,
Okay.
yeah.
How long's FISA been in?
Oh, it's been in
Is that like
since-
the Patriot Act?
Yeah, I
type
think it's been
stuff?
since the Patriot Act. I'm not
Okay.
sure when it exactly was enacted. Dates are not my thing.
Got it.
But yeah, it's been for
couple
a
decades. Okay.
Yes.
It's going to be interesting because I want to see if she's even going to be able to get into that position of power.
Is that what they were using against her? Because
What?
weren't they like spying on her specifically?
Yeah.
Is that the legislation
Probably.
interesting.
I mean, she's also been put on like a terrorist
Yeah,
watch
I know.
list.
She was on the
and-
no-fly
Yeah,
list.
that's
and
crazy.
Not no-fly, but
Yeah.
Her passport has like an SS
Yeah.
on it or something.
Well,
so-
when they print your boarding pass,
Yeah.
it's like SSSSS.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, what did you expect when you crap on Kamala Harris, right?
It
The
was
former
beautiful.
prosecutor
It
of
was
California, and now the larger kind of authoritarian Democratic political party that now has to kind of go back and deal with Donald Trump in a position of power. I think a lot of them are kind of very unsure about how a lot of this will kind of play out here, because it's fair to argue the Democrats have absolutely abused their position of power. It's fair to argue that the Democrats absolutely were very unfair to the Republicans. The prosecutions, the censorship, the larger attacks, calling MAGA Americans the number one enemy for democracy by Joe Biden was absolutely a crazy, hyperbolic, ridiculous statement that brought us on the brink of potentially fighting each other based off our own political differences and getting rid of the essential liberties and freedoms that we have here in the United States. So, again, if I'm the Democrats, I would be a little bit worried because I understand now, hey, the shoe's on the other foot. The pendulum's going to swing. How is it going to swing? How will it unfold? Will Trump show discernment here and larger kind of actions that show him being more reserved, or will he be aggressive? It's going to be interesting because I think he needs to walk a very fine line, because there are a lot of things that we need to know about. There are a lot of things that we need disclosed. There are a lot of people that need to be held accountable for their larger actions. And I just hope we do it in a focused way where it's not just an automatic reaction like the left does it, but it's a calculated, strong kind of maneuver that is made in a logical way that doesn't overstep its balance of power, as a lot of people are also worried about that, since, again, as I mentioned, it's a lot of power, it's a lot of influence, and it's very hard for a lot of people for that not to go to their head. That's my concern. I don't know if you guys share it.
Well, the other thing is Trump is basically going to be off the leash now because he's not going to run again. Everybody that's under him is still going to be looking to promote their career, in the future, but he's not going to look to be reelected ever again. So if he does things that don't make you happy, I mean,
There's not much we can do about it.
There's not a lot, there's no recourse. He's not going to say, well, if I build the wall again, I'm not going to get voted in next time. He's going to go, no, I'm going to build it 7 stories high. So I mean, it kind of lets the dog off the leash, so to speak.
I mean, I'd like to play the Tatiana black-pilled moment here and be like, I don't believe that any of this is really, really going to happen. But even if it does, look at what the right does. They will support, regardless of doing the right or wrong thing, they will support their team members. This is one of these things that you just see. We saw it recently. Thomas Massey shouted out DC Drano for, lying and saying that he doesn't get paid to call out Thomas Massey. And then, I helped him by showing some receipts and
Whoops.
yeah. And so there they were. And, yes, DC Drano does get paid, and he doesn't say that it's an advertisement. And yeah, that's kind of a problem. But then people on the right were like, we all have to support DC Drano because DC Drano is one of us, and he's been MAGA and he's been pro-Trump since, the first round over 10 years. And they don't hold themselves accountable. It's easy to look at the left and be like, the left does this. But when the right does it, it's like, well, we got to stand by one of our own. No, it's the point is, if you're doing something wrong, you should be called out.
Well, to be fair, he took money from the legalized cannabis vote Amendment 3 or Amendment 4
Amendment 3.
issue
From Smart
that was
and
here
Safe.
in Florida.
Yeah, he took money from Smart and Safe Florida. He took $164,000 from Smart and Safe to promote Amendment 3, which was a monopoly bill. And then he said that he only promoted it on Instagram and on TikTok, where you can say that it's an advertisement. But I had the receipts because he directly attacked me on X and told me that, oh, you're just doing this for the money, because at the time I had a hemp company. And so, no, DC Drano, you lied. You effing lied. So, yeah, I mean, I don't like that. I think that, the right needs to call out bad actors regardless of them being on their team.
Well, I think the right does that a lot, and I think the libertarians do that a lot too, but to the point of self-detriment as well.
I think it's just, honestly,
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
you're just talking about human nature.
Yeah.
Human nature and tribalism. It doesn't matter what tribe it is. This is just how people behave.
So that means that if I do something wrong, you're just going to go out on the internet and be like, no, I support Martha. Let's all support Martha because
It depends on how wrong it is.
It depends if it was malicious or accidental.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're just plain stupid, I'm not going to get mad at you.
I'll be real with you. As someone who knows you personally, even if you did do something no, I actually wouldn't. I don't put people out publicly, period.
I appreciate
So
that.
actually, no, I wouldn't.
I appreciate that. But like if I
if it
did
were
something
some-
really bad, I would
Especially if
hope
you're
that you
wrong.
would. Right. If I was.
What if you're wrong?
Yeah, no, I would.
I wouldn't run that risk.
No, yeah. I'm saying. I mean, I think these things should be dealt with privately.
Yeah.
I'm generally not a fan of like public. It's one thing of the things I actually personally despise about social media is like just
Yeah.
the public sort of call out and pile-ons.
Weaponizing
And,
it.
yeah, I'm really not a fan of it, especially when it's between two people who know each other.
Right, but
I'm
the
just
way
like-
it happened on the right, this
Yeah.
whole like you should support or you have to support
No.
DC Drano
No,
because
no, I
he's
don't-
one
I
of
don't like
us.
that. I don't like
think that's where it's wrong. It's
Yeah, I
like
agree.
you can stay quiet and be like, I know this person personally,
Sure.
so I'm just going to stay out of it. But to call in your reinforcement, especially against Thomas Massey, which side note here, Thomas Massey is like the only politician we have now that isn't a complete sellout and absolutely horrible. So for the right to go after Thomas Massey was just like, ugh, what are we doing?
Yeah, people get so tribalistic and so partisan that it just becomes
People
you know-
love drama too.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like there's a lot of people who view me through a relatively political lens because I'm at the intersection of all these different worlds. And when I'm around people who are like really political, it makes me realize that I'm not that into politics. Because I've been in certain circles and places and whatever, and everyone's like, so, and I'm just like, I'm not like this. Like, I'm more into like, society and culture and humanity, and politics is a
But
part
I like
of
that too.
But like when I'm around people who are just like, they're all the DNC this and the R's and the D's, and then I'm just like, I don't even know who the people you're talking about are. I don't know what that policy is.
I mean, to be
Let's
fair,
go
you
plant
don't
some
live here.
trees.
Yeah,
Let's
it's
go.
the same
Let's
in
go
the UK
touch some
though,
glass.
'cause
you know.
I'll be in the UK and it's all like they're talking about all these. The Labour did this and the Tories this, and then I'm like, I don't actually know any of this. Like,
Yeah.
I know about the big
Fair
ideas,
enough.
but I don't know all the inner workings of the party.
Before the whole H-1B visa kind of debacle that unfolded on Twitter, I remember specifically right after the election being like, hey, the woke left is pretty much destroyed. It's pretty much on its way out. It doesn't have any kind of larger power like it did. It can't really wield it anymore since, of course, the larger kind of overlords of it, like the Zuckerbergs and the Bezos, they're already shifting tides as well. So I foresaw a situation where the right was going to attack the right. And I think that's exactly what we are kind of seeing here, since the left doesn't really have anything anymore. And I think this is going to be an overwhelming kind of trend that we're going to be seeing here that hopefully isn't too destructive. hopefully is a larger conversation where we could actually learn from each other. We could actually discuss serious issues. But with the way that things are going, I think it's fair to say that there's going to be a lot of emotionally hyperbolic people that are going to be overreacting and then just absolutely derailing a lot of the conversations and making it very personal. That's what I always try to avoid. And I'm like, hey, stop trying to destroy this conversation. Let's actually make the argument here and let's not emotionally react. And I would say that with the H-1B visa debacle, I think the people attacking Elon, some of them were overly emotional, but I think Elon was also overly emotional and then acted emotional too with the larger algorithm changes that I'm not for as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Speaking of Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and Zuckerberg, did you see the pictures of Jeff Bezos at the Starship launch for SpaceX?
In the polo shirt?
Yeah, in a polo shirt. What is it with these lefties? They leave the left, they come to the right, and all of a sudden they're jacked.
No. You got it's the order's wrong.
What?
You get jacked. And
Then
it
you
makes you.
leave.
Surely, haven't you seen like all those articles about how like fitness and lifting weights makes you right wing?
Yeah, no, totally. Like
I swear
Zuckerberg
it
looked
does.
like he was like a
They go
lizard
to the
person.
UFC and that's the end of them.
Right.
Exactly.
Like, like Zuckerberg was just like, "Ugh," and then all of a sudden he's like gets jacked. He starts like working out. He's doing all
but
this stuff.
he's building a bunker.
Increasing-
He's building
He's like
a bunker.
He's
and
got
the
like
only
a
people
gold
that
chain
the only
and the
people that are
fro,
gonna
and I mean he's just like
Increasing testosterone in men makes them more conservative. That's actually a scientific fact.
they look
It's a fact.
fantastic. I mean Jeff Bezos, way to go, man! Like what is he like 50 something, 60? Like
But
damn.
let's be honest. It's not just lifting weights. It's also injecting yourself with testosterone, right?
Or rubbing it on your
it's a
on your
whole
balls,
mindset.
you know?
Who's going to show Mark Zuckerberg how to build a bunker? Who's going to show him how to do all that stuff?
Clearly nobody on the
You think
left.
a couple of people with blue hair and a ring in their nose are going to show up and tell him what materials are best for making something bulletproof? You know, seriously?
No, he needs you. Zuckerberg, he needs to call Liza Trainer.
I
ASAP.
wouldn't help him for all the money in the world.
Yeah, Liza has way too much testosterone. I think that's pretty clear here.
Yeah, you're not going to find a lot of super masculine men who are like libs and progressives.
Yeah.
No,
Let's
absolutely
put it
not.
simply.
There is that
He
correlation.
He surrounded himself with them, I'm sure, for that. And then he started getting into fighting. And who's going to show him that? You know, are you going to find somebody that's confused about which bathroom to
MMA
use?
guys are super right.
They,
You
yeah,
know?
they're
No.
super right leaning.
So
Absolutely.
he starts talking to these guys, and I'm sure they become friends. They strike up a conversation, a little camaraderie, and they start jabbing him and saying, you know, what are you, you serious, you little Tinkerbell? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have an anarchist, pretty much libertarian, fight for the world championship tomorrow inside of the UFC. We have Monacon, who's this Brazilian social media character. Of course, he's a main UFC fighter, but he keeps talking about Van Mises. He keeps talking about libertarian anarchistic principles every time he does a fight, and he's going to be fighting Makachev tomorrow night at the UFC. So he just got that upgrade since the original opponent just got injured, and he's taking his place here. So, of course, I'm going to be rooting for him because of his political bent and ideology, not just based off in his skill. But also, I just hate the grapplers. I just hate the people who hug people all the time. And I want to see an entertaining fight.
For God's sakes, let him go and hit him.
Yeah, I know. Stop hugging them to death here. These Dagestani super soldiers that are genetically altered truly
I met what's it, Chimaev?
Yeah.
I met him in Dubai. Not
How
so
was
long
that?
ago.
He seems
Yeah,
like a very
he's
interesting
chill.
character.
Yeah, he
Is
seemed
he
really
like?
chill.
Is he on it, or it seems like a lot of the UFC fighters are absolutely totally awake, and they're not falling for any of the woke crap. They're not playing along with any of this larger kind of nonsense and bull crap that usually is like shoved down in our society. And it seems like they're one of the biggest kind of representatives to be anti-woke.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, look at Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland, I think, is like the perfect example of that, especially with all the offensive, crazy stuff that he says, especially in correlation with Bud Light as well.
The thing is, the
That
more
was
the
awesome.
more grounded in reality you are, for whatever the reason is, the less likely you're going to fall for woke ideology, because you have to detach yourself from the most basic of human reality in order to buy into a lot of those ideas. So generally, whether those are people who are rural or who come from strong religious backgrounds or who have grown up in places with actual real stuff to deal with, whether it's Cuba or former Soviet Union or whatever, like they're pretty much immune to the woke crap.
Yeah.
And I'd say MMA fighters, are very much rooted in reality because you have to be.
And going back to your point, I think like now that you say it, I don't know a whole lot of Cuban males who are like that woke, very like there are some, of course, but the vast majority are very masculine males. It's like the machismo thing.
Well, it's kind of frowned on not to be. So
Yeah, but that's a whole thing. It's like a cultural thing of men being men.
Yes.
So therefore, you have less of this.
It's the same in the Middle East. It's the same across all of Africa. It's like in most of the world. Like people always forget that like only 1/8 of the world lives in the West.
Right.
So in like most of the world, they're still very. I always say most people are conservative
Right.
because just like the average person, if you just live a life, if you're just growing up in I don't know in Mogadishu or in somewhere in India or whatever, like. Your lifestyle and everything around you is going to just be naturally more conservative. You're not going to just fall into super communistic or woke or whatever views because they're not.
Do you mean they don't have drag queens there?
You have to be brainwashed into that stuff, right? For someone to convince you that a man can be a woman and a woman can be a man.
Also, if you're like struggling to put food on the table,
you don't have time.
These are not conversations you're having. You don't have time to figure out what sex you are.
You don't even have time.
Or what gender
you
you
don't
are,
even have
sorry.
time to debate so-called gender roles.
Right.
Like men fall into the masculine things that work for them.
You mean
women
like normal?
just fall in, like you have to reach a level of privilege and economic development and opportunity and whatever to even like sit around having those debates of like. And the thing is, if you took all these people from the West, whether they're from Canada, UK, US, whatever, and, throw them on a desert island, you're going to very quickly, boom, the gender roles just establish themselves once again.
Yep.
And the men will be doing men's stuff. Women will be doing women's stuff.
And then all those survival shows when the women go off by themselves and they always fail miserably. And then the males go off and they build a great society.
They didn't bring me.
To, of course, prosper and have fire. And then the women start to beg for her and start to flirt with the men. That's pretty interesting. So you're telling me that, chopping off your gonads and euthanizing yourself isn't trendy and natural? Who would have thought? As of course, we got some interesting chat rooms. It's interesting chats from our chat room. We got Mo MB saying, I've been hanging out with BJJ guys now that I've been taking it, and they are very vocal conservatives, very anti-woke, like you all are saying. Yep, absolutely true. We got another comment here from Channel Julio saying, slip Luke's creatine powder into the lefties' coffee. Yes, that's a great idea.
Good in coffee. We tried it. It actually doesn't go good in coffee.
Well, you want to get it with water. You want to drink a lot of water with creatine. You could get Common Sense Creatine on wearechange.shop. I've been taking creatine for about 6 months now, and it's really great when it comes to not just helping out your muscles, but your brain too. A lot of postmenopausal women, I'm looking at some of you ladies here, also definitely recommend you ladies take some creatine because it definitely does help with, ladies going cuckoo and caca and crazy. And
I don't know who you're looking at, Luke.
I'm not,
Anyways, hey.
Common Sense Creatine, wearechange.shop. Go get it. We're going to post it in the link, and that's how you keep us up and running here. As of course, we are fully independent. We launched these products. These are really great products. We did our research. Really good stuff. Common Sense Creatine. Go check it out. Wearechange.shop. Yes, Martha?
Nothing.
I gave you one. I gave you one. Did you start taking it?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good.
Creatine's good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is, and it doesn't taste like anything unless you put it in coffee. You won't taste it in any drink you put it in but coffee.
Yeah. I love how creatine's
we tried it with
going more
everything.
mainstream.
It is, yeah.
Like I've been into like bodybuilding for over 20 years, so it's like interesting how all the like bro science stuff from like 20, 30 plus years ago, sometimes like in the 2020s, it's all starting to go mainstream now. So when I hear like, I remember when people used to ask like if creatine was a steroid and stuff, and now it's like, hey, even women should take it.
Yeah, absolutely. Postmenopausal women specifically.
Oh, dear God. Somebody smack this.
Is it getting warm in here? Is it getting warm in here?
It helps with their brains, all right?
There's a safe amount of distance.
There's a reason why I said over here, and there's a plant between us.
Yes, and then there's no way
There's
for
no
Martha
way,
to come here.
no.
I
Their
have the
little
couch.
T-Rex arms are too short to get him.
No, but he can't come this way either, so it's great.
It
We have
works
a nice
out.
little, we
works
can't even
out.
look at each other because of the plant. It works.
Yes, perfect. Just the way it is.
One We're getting Nerf guns.
Oh, yes.
That sounds like a good idea.
No, but he's got
Full
better
auto
aim.
Nerf guns.
No, he's got better aim. That's a terrible idea. Actually, no.
Yes.
No. Yeah, unless you give me one and don't give him one.
There was 2 police officers that showed up at our training. I'll tell the story later, but it was a lot of fun. Liza
Did you
was there
go?
too.
I wasn't able to,
So
unfortunately.
we invited everyone here. Some people came out, some people didn't. Looking at you, Martha, who has been
I
not
go
coming
every
for a very long
Thursday.
time.
Yep.
Uh,
I'm
but-
sorry. I have these. They, I'm like, I did these, and I cannot train with these because it's really hard to put the bullets into the gun. So that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
All right. Anyway, let's talk about a totally unrelated topic, and that is the disclosures that we are expecting to have under Trump's administration, as we are expecting a lot of fireworks, especially when it comes to the Epstein list. But more importantly, also now with the drones, as Donald Trump has made a very interesting statement saying that on day one, he's going to be releasing some information surrounding to what actually has been happening with these drones. Here's the clip.
A story that kind of disappeared very suddenly. Do you have any idea whatever happened to the drones?
What happened to drones?
Well, you had said that you thought the government knew what was happening with these drones over New Jersey. There were some by Bedminster.
I don't know. They're over Bedminster a lot, so I can imagine. I'm going to give you a report on drones about one day into the administration, because I think it's ridiculous that they're not telling you about what's going on with the drones. And it's not only with me. Glenn was telling me today that in Virginia they have drones all over the place too, and nobody's reporting it. I don't know why they're not. Do you want to say something about that?
Just one quick comment, which is we are home to the largest naval base in the world in Quantico, and we house a lot of the SEAL teams and have a huge national security infrastructure. And now for 2 years running, we have had drone incursion over secure airspace, and we still don't know why.
Yep. And then the governor of Louisiana also called in and said that there's drone incursions by their nuclear facilities, and they don't know why either, as this was the meeting that happened between Republican governors and Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago. And the question still kind of remains, what were these drones? What was really going on here? Zuby, I don't know if you have any kind of inklings to what you think was happening here, or perspective here, but there's a lot of really fascinating conversations around this particular topic.
I just think it's funny how much crazy stuff happens in the USA all the time. This country has no chill whatsoever.
Yes.
Like I live in Dubai, and nothing like Dubai has
guys
like
don't
no
have drones?
policy. Like this,
They don't have
nothing
drones.
They have
happens.
drone shows. They have drone shows, but like
it's amazing. Like so in Dubai, of course, like I'm pretty much like half a day ahead. So you wake up in the morning and it's the previous day in the US, and all the Americans are online at night when it's morning for me. And it's like every morning you wake up and I'm just like, what's the thing? What's today's thing? Like, what's the crazy thing that happened? Like one time it's there's Jews in tunnels in New York. And then it's like someone has beheaded a Baphomet statue in a government building.
There was a
then,
Baphomet statue in a government building?
There was one time some like staffers were like having
yeah, that's right. Oh
some
my God.
staffers were having butt sex
You
in
think it's-
some
oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm just like, is that country, it's like a GTA server over here. Like what is going on?
It's so
And
much
then the
that you're
drones-
saying these things, and I'm like, oh yeah.
Wasn't there the aliens in Florida?
Yeah, we had aliens at
Aliens
Bayside.
yeah. I'm just like, what? And then I never hear the conclusion of anything.
I know.
We didn't actually have aliens
Neither
at
do we,
Bayside.
bud. We don't get any conclusions
We don't know what
either.
happened to the drones.
Yeah,
we
so,
have no
okay.
idea what's going on. You hear probably more than we do at this point.
So what are? Yeah, I have no idea what's going on with the drones. I remember.
So what's like the controversial news in Dubai?
The controversial
seeding?
news. Cloud seeding.
Oops.
That's everyone knows about it. That's a pretty open secret there. So I mean, if it rains, that's big.
Yeah.
Like when it rains in Dubai, they give you like 3 days notice.
Oh, wow.
it's-
They're like, we
so-
saw a cloud.
Yeah, so the way like you
We
get
seeded
tornado
a
warnings or
cloud.
hurricane warnings or something in certain parts of the U.S., it's like that just with like normal rain because it rains so rarely. They're just like adverse weather conditions, like prepare, So that's but yeah, Dubai's super chill. It's super super chill. So people
And
talk-
no taxes.
people
I think it's time to move, America.
People talk about things that are going on in other parts of the world because 90% of the country is non-Emirati. It's almost all expats or immigrants. And so, there's a lot of British people there.
So wait a
they'll
minute,
talk about what's happening.
the expats and all of these people, you guys have mostly immigration, and it seems to work just fine. So what's the argument? Because you said you originally started with we need to fix the border situation. So you're talking about a country that doesn't have a.
But Martha, they have their own form of H-1B visas, but a lot of the people that are kind of imported can't leave.
Dubai has super strict immigration.
Yeah.
So
we can't send them any leftovers?
Yeah, it's actually part of the reason why it's so... Like, people think Dubai and other GCC countries are super safe, like, just because they have harsh punishments for crime, and it's really not that simple. It actually starts with their immigration policies. So basically everyone in Dubai, like I said, only 10% of the population is Emirati. So everyone who's in Dubai has moved there from another country for a specific reason. And to even live in the country, you need to either be employed or run a business or be, I guess, the spouse or child of someone.
To be a resident or to visit?
To be a resident.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's no pathway to citizenship. So, like, Emiratis, I guess there's like 1 million of them. There's like 1 million Emirati passport holders. And then everyone else is essentially...
something else.
Everyone's a visitor.
What about the anchor baby, if you had a child there?
No, they don't get citizenship.
Yeah, Trump's talking about getting rid of that here domestically instead of the United States.
I think it actually makes total sense. So... Like, I think America, I'm not American, but like America should obviously be America first. Like, America should put American citizens first.
That's
the
racist.
UK should put British citizens. It has nothing to do, I know you're joking,
well,
but
that's
it
actually
has
in the
nothing to do with
Constitution.
it has nothing to do with race, right? It's just if you're a citizen, if you're a citizen of the country.
First it was the weights, now it's the race.
You should be prioritized. And they do that very well over there. And I think it's obvious. So it's like, yeah, everyone is welcome. You can become a resident. You're gainfully employed. You're a law-abiding citizen. Come on in. We're happy to host you.
But they don't give you any money the way they don't give you welfare the way the U.S.
You don't get free health care?
There's no
seriously.
Emiratis do. See, so they create a win-win situation.
Right.
So there's no beef between the locals. Like, it's one of the, like, if you think in most countries that have a lot of immigration, there is some form of tension between the natives and the immigrant population, rightly or wrongly. But you take a country like the UAE as a whole, which is predominantly foreigners, yet there is zero tension. It's like a symbiotic relationship.
Right. You're grateful that they let you in and you're just chill. But if you have children there, if you raise a family there, like, your kids will never be able to.
They'll never have a citizenship.
There's no way possible to become
maybe if you married an Emirati.
Okay.
Then there might be some way. I think if you're like, a gazillionaire and you invest like 50 million into the country or something, then maybe.
So you're a peasant
maybe
over there.
you can get a passport. Yeah, being a millionaire is like nothing, right? But if you were like.
Not in the Emirates, apparently.
Is it expensive? How much money do you need to live comfortably there? Because it seems like a very rich place.
It's cheaper than Miami.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, what's rent?
Don't get any ideas, Luke.
No, let's go.
I'd say price-wise.
They have no taxes.
Like,
all my problems go away.
If you were to think about like everything overall price-wise.
They're going to force you to come back, Luke. Like, they're doing a Roger Ver. Yeah, extradition.
Don't they have? Wasn't Andrew Tate thinking about going there? And isn't there do they have extradition laws?
Do they have extradition laws? I don't know.
I'm gonna look that up.
Well, yeah,
I'm gonna look that up for no reason at all.
That's not something.
Hold on, Liza. Let me use your Google phone. Let me use your phone for a second, Liza.
I don't know if they have extradition laws.
No, I'm kidding. I'm not gonna use your phone. But
what was the question I was even attempting to answer?
The cost of living.
Cost of living.
Yeah.
I'd say it's overall. I'd say it's similar to Miami, and this is for Dubai specifically.
Okay.
The other Emirates, Abu Dhabi and Dubai are, Abu Dhabi is actually the richest one. Dubai might be more famous, but Abu Dhabi is the one that's got all the money. Dubai is second. The other Emirates are actually relatively cheap to live in. But Dubai, Dubai, Abu Dhabi.
So like a 2-bedroom apartment, $3,000. That's Miami price.
It varies a lot depending on the place.
Where?
I'm sure if you're in Brickell, that might be more like 4, 5, 6 or something, right?
More.
So Dubai is very similar in that regard. So, but I'd say.
But it's not like a Wisconsin living where maybe you can find an apartment for $1,000.
Maybe in Sharjah, which is an emirate less than an hour away. Okay. So there's people who live in Sharjah and might work in Dubai. So there's 7 different emirates. Like I said, Abu Dhabi, Dubai are the most famous ones. So yeah, those. And by the way, the cost of accommodation has pretty much doubled in the last 4 or so years, partly because so many wealthy Russians have moved there since the war broke out. So there's like tons of like Russian millionaires and billionaires there who are like buying up entire floors of apartment buildings and entire buildings and stuff. So definitely rent and property prices have gone up. But in terms of groceries are definitely cheaper over there. Almost everything, I'd say accommodation is comparable to Miami, and almost everything else is a little bit cheaper. But also you have to keep in mind you have like 50% more disposable income because
No taxation.
no capital gains tax, no personal tax, no income tax, no property tax. There is a 5% VAT, and they've recently introduced a 9% corporation tax on profits over $100,000.
Which is still blows America out of the water.
Yeah, so I mean, UK, I was paying 25% from the first pound or dollar profit.
Right.
Now I get 100 grand tax free, and then profits on top of that. There's 9%, but you can also just take a salary and
right. You can work it around. Yeah, you can work around it.
Yeah, it's essentially tax free. So you have way more to work with. Like
amazing.
Earning 100 grand in Dubai, you actually keep 100 grand. Earning 100 grand in the UK or US, depending on the state and so on, maybe you keep somewhere between 60 and 75.
Nah, then you got to pay your property taxes.
Yeah.
And then everything you buy, they also tax that.
Yeah.
And the gas you put in your car, they tax that.
Yeah.
And all like it. I think
But there's
it's
no
more.
state tax here in Florida.
No, but the thing is as well, if you're
Oh,
someone,
wow,
if you're,
Luke, should we thank the government? Oh, thank you, dear God, government.
I come from New York City.
The-
New York City had state and city taxes.
I'll tell you when it becomes actually a huge deal is because most people don't think this way, but if you actually think of the investment, if you think of it in terms of like investment and compound interest, it's such a gigantic difference. So most people say someone pays $20,000 in tax in 1 year. Most people think of that as a $20,000 loss. Whereas in reality, if that $20,000 had been, say, just put into the stock market, just into an index fund,
Right.
and you compound that over 10, 20, 30, 40 years, each 20 grand might actually be like 200
Right.
grand over the course of your lifetime. So it's a much bigger difference than I think people realize because it compounds over time.
Absolutely. And then you add to that the devaluation of the dollar, for example, and it's a huge tax. I don't think most Americans understand how hard they're taxed and how much of their, it's not just the amount of money, it's not just the 20, 30, 40, 50% tax overall, but amongst all the taxes, it's the devaluation of the dollar. And, you could put that money.
If you truly did all the math, it's probably at least half your money.
Yeah,
I was going to say it's staggering if you actually
It's
broke
probably-
it down.
It's probably at least half.
If instead of it being pulled out of your paycheck and you had to write a check, I think Americans would have long ago thrown out the politicians and rioted and done things. But because
That's probably why they did it that way.
right, because it's broken down into, well, I paid taxes because I bought something. Oh, I paid taxes on my property. Oh, I paid taxes when I registered my car, re-registered every year. Oh, whatever I paid when they got a salary. Because it's broken down that way, most people just don't realize how much we are a tax.
But if you're an
cattle.
entrepreneur, you run a company and you pay like that one shot per year, you feel that, right?
You do,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you feel it. And
feel
then
that.
when something goes wrong in your company, which it
happens.
It happens a lot, very frequently. That silent partner that you had to pay for, they're not there to like, oh hey, I got you this year. It's like, no, last year you made money, so you still owe me money, and pay it up ahead
the
of time.
punishment for being productive.
Yeah,
Right.
It's major. It's it's not actually the predominant reason I decided to leave the UK in 2021. Predominant reason was actually their reaction to the whole Rona situation and how they wanted to treat those of us who didn't want to take a certain something into our veins. So that was what ultimately pushed me out. But yeah,
And you're better off for it.
That's what pushed
I'm
me
so
out
much- I'm so much happier in
from New
Dubai
York
now.
City. I was like, I don't want to be in this hellscape. I don't want to be forced to be locked down. I don't want to be forced to be told what I cannot do, or what businesses I could go to. And that's why I relocated here to Florida. Mainly because of the First Amendment and Second Amendment and the larger protections that we have here. Does Dubai have some kind of protections for the First or Second Amendment, or those kind of larger ideas? Because that would be my only kind of reservation when it comes to fully kind of going there, checking it out, or even considering about moving there. Yeah. It's like, can I defend myself? I mean, you can make the argument that you probably don't even need to, but I still like to.
Sure. I mean, you have to remember, if those are your top concerns, the USA is the only country that has that.
Exactly.
Of the 200-ish countries in the world, the USA is the only one that has, the First and Second Amendment equivalents. There's no other country that has that, period.
How did they handle the coronavirus?
I would not have wanted to be in Dubai during that time.
Really?
No, there are very few developed countries or states that handled that.
So if there's a Rona
reasonably.
2.0, you'd come to the States?
I'd do what I did last time, and I'd bounce around to wherever makes sense. I went to 9 different countries during that situation.
Surprised they
Typhoid
let you
Mary
in.
over here.
Was that?
They let you in. Surprised.
It wasn't. Gosh, it was not fun.
I did states.
It was not a fun
I
time.
literally got an RV
not
and I
fun
did
time.
something similar. And I went to New Hampshire. I went to West Virginia. I went to
Some
Florida.
places were awful.
And I went to the states that had the most amount of freedom.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot.
Some of the worst places were. Some of the best places were in the States, and some of the worst places were in the States. And some were even in the same states.
Yeah. I mean, Florida was open and everything
Yeah.
was free, but then Miami-Dade County, our overlords here were like, oh, you need a permit to be able to go to work and you need to be essential and you need, so, they were putting people in jail for not complying.
interesting.
So
No
Yeah.
church but Walmart.
It was
Yeah.
like in like LA versus Orange County. Like Orange County was like, parts of Texas or Florida, and then LA was full on. The worst places I went to during that time were actually probably Hawaii, and Maryland.
Yeah.
Good grief.
Yeah. I
well,
can
I mean,
only
Maryland
imagine,
is always
was-
leftist liberal
Yeah.
places
Bad.
controlled by Democrats.
And Portugal. Terrible.
Yeah,
Really?
I was
Terrible.
told there was absolutely no
Horrible.
no protocol in Africa.
No.
And I'm like, if there's no protocol in Africa, how come they're not all dead?
Yeah.
Good question.
Outside of South Africa,
Good
because South
question,
Africa,
huh?
South Africa is more aligned with like the Western
yeah.
powers. But outside of that, part of the reason, my family's from Nigeria, so I've got tons of family there, and there's a lot of reasons for it. I think so many people forget that they were only able to even do what they did in all these nations, partly because of technology. Even if all this, if they
Yep.
tried to do it 20 years earlier, say, like, what the heck was Zoom? Like, you can't do remote working, remote schooling, all of that. Like, it wouldn't have.
you couldn't order your grocery
No.
on
No.
Instacart.
And you didn't have Zuckerberg and
No.
Yeah.
and
The
what was
comfort
his-
and the technology is, and obviously the technology enabled the propaganda as well. But in lots of developing countries, especially places in Africa, like where there's no Zoom schooling or remote working or whatever, and people need to go to work and live, they were like, they kind of looked around, is everyone dying? No. Okay, cool. Like, let's just keep going.
But
And
did
also-
they die? And the answer was no.
No, I think the
Not unless you brought them
the
to the
vax rate across
hospital.
Africa is still under 10%. And also the thing is they deal with malaria constantly. And malaria is far worse by any measure than the Rona was, and they deal with that all the time.
Right.
So they're like, is this worse than malaria? No. Okay, cool. Carry on.
I wonder if they also were on prophylactic doses of that other thing that we give to horses
That you're not allowed to
that you're
have.
not
Oh,
allowed
those
to have.
anti-parasitics.
Joe Rogan medicine.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a factor. Also, the average age the median age in Nigeria is 19.
Oh, well, then they definitely didn't have any issues.
Rather than, I don't know what it is here, maybe 40-ish. So, yeah.
But
that's a
also, I
factor
bet
as
you
well.
in Nigeria, they also are not suffering from obesity. Which is another issue. I think, one of the major factors were comorbidities. And instead of looking
Diabetes.
at... Yeah, it's like instead of looking at that and being like, if you have a comorbidity, stay home, take care of yourself. It's like everybody.
I think a lot of that issue was, I think in the modern West, like, I think there's such an obsession with equality that there's almost like a concern of communicating something in a way that like stratifies the population in any way, right? Like they're almost like
100%.
they're almost like they don't. This is ageism. It's like, no, it's not ageism to say, hey, if you're like over 70 or over 80, you might need to take different precautions to someone who's 17.
Right.
But it's just like we need to treat everyone
The
exactly
same.
the same.
Well, look at the airport. You go through the airport and it's like they're targeting little old ladies in a wheelchair. 80-year-old lady, like, get out of the wheelchair. We got to like scan you for bombs. It's like, really? I mean, you can profile just a little bit. Like, it's okay. I won't feel offended if you check out the guy that's like totally jacked and looks a little sketchy and you leave the little grandma in her wheelchair alone.
But
I agree with you. We could use a little
sense.
less,
A little
less.
racial profiling.
It's common sense.
You know, a little just, hey, that guy looks
I didn't
a
say
little
racial
suspicious.
profiling. I just said a little profiling.
What other profiling is there, Martha? You're trying to back away from
But
it.
coming back to your question, it's so funny. Like I'm so like I like Dubai so much that there's people who think I'm on the government's payroll or something. I'm like, I'm not. I just like the place. It was interesting. I was there. So the Bitcoin conference was in Abu Dhabi in December. So a lot of
I missed it.
Yeah, I would have loved if you were there. Like so many. It was interesting because so many people came from all over the world, including the States. And I met a lot of people, like I met a lot of Bitcoiners there who, lots of them, it was their first time in the Middle East at all. Some of them, it was their first time leaving the USA.
Oh, wow.
So it was kind of interesting. And
I don't meet a lot of those people.
yeah, so it was interesting kind of like talking to some, 20-something-year-old American guys who are like into Bitcoin and they're suddenly walking around Dubai and Abu Dhabi and they're just like, whoa, okay, this is not what
The world is pretty awesome.
Yeah, they're just like, yo, this is cool. And it's so different from what they imagine because, I don't know, there's so many ideas people have in their heads around, particularly, I think the Middle East as well, because it's a pretty big and diverse region. Like the whole Middle East is like, Yemen is not the same as UAE, is not the same as Saudi Arabia, is not the same as Iraq. Like, so I think some people, through decades of what I would say propaganda, people have this idea.
You would be correct.
Yeah, people have this idea of like the Middle East is just like dangerous and it's terrible for women.
And if you're a
you can't
woman,
do
you
this.
don't go there because
Yeah,
you will be, like if you're not wearing a full burqa, you're going to be jailed. And
Yeah, like I'm talking
maybe
to
they
people
should be
and
putting burqas. I mean,
You're talking to people like, do I have to wear a burqa? Do you have to wear a burqa? I'm like, what are you, like, no, it's Dubai.
Like, no?
What are you talking about? Yeah, so it was
I
actually
mean,
really
you still
cool
have
to
to
just
be
have people there.
decent. It's not like you.
Tell that to the Russian girls, gosh.
All right. Speaking of that, not to get off subject.
we got to tell the Russian girls a lot. We got to tell them a lot.
What kind of car do you drive, and what is the driving like out there?
The driving?
Because you see all these crazy videos of people drifting and stuff. So
Oh.
do you have a badass car? Do you drift? Tell us about it. What's going on?
I haven't actually bought a car yet.
What?
No, I haven't bought one yet. Like I've been tempted many times, but I don't actually need one. I'll get one this year probably, but I haven't needed one just as a.
So what do they have? Like an Uber, some kind of?
Yeah. There's Ubers and taxis are pretty cheap, so like getting around is easy.
Who drives the Ubers in Dubai?
Camels.
Robots.
Mostly people from, like nationality wise, mostly people from India, African countries. Maybe occasional like Pakistan, Sri Lanka.
So definitely
Some of the
not
other Arab
people,
countries.
not locals.
No, not locals. No, the
Locals have their own drivers.
Yeah, and locals are pretty ballin'.
Yeah, I
Like,
figured.
and the government, if you get married, the government pays for your wedding.
What?
Yeah. So like I said, so the way they do things there is smart. I think Western countries could learn certain things from them. Just like they learn things
Except
from
for
Western
having
countries.
the whole like king and
Yeah, our
Whatever you guys
government
call
would shut that down quick.
I'm good with monarchy. I like it as long as it's good. I'm a democracy. I'm not fully sold on democracy, and I'm also not fully sure that it exists.
I agree with that.
So
Yeah.
there's
That's the big elephant in the room.
We have the delusion of democracy, but it's really a lot of top players calling the shots here.
Yeah,
I
I'm
can
also
show
kind
it
of
to you in
like
a book.
if you've only got two choices and maybe it's I don't know. I care more about like the actual leadership and the policies and the results than the system, if that makes sense. So I think I kind of agree with, in theory, with democracy being perhaps superior to monarchy on paper, but having actually lived in both, I'm from the UK. I've lived in Saudi Arabia. I've lived in the UAE. I've spent huge amounts of time in lots of places, and like people in the UAE. That people don't end up there by accident.
Right.
So if 90% of the population has intentionally moved there, often from predominantly from democratic countries, to go live in a so-called monarchy by choice, like I left the UK and moved to the UAE to be more free. Right? So,
Okay, but the UK has a monarchy as well. So you left a monarchy for a monarchy.
the UK is not a monarchy, though.
Okay, but
No, like
they have one.
It's just more
they're-
pedophiles.
Yeah.
There is one, but it's not like Prince Charles is calling the shots. Everything happens in Parliament, and the Prime Minister is the royals don't really get involved in politics so much per se. So yeah, I don't know, man, but it's I definitely recommend people to visit. It's not for everybody.
All right, tell us the craziest thing you've ever seen there.
The craziest thing I've ever seen.
The craziest thing you've ever seen there.
In Dubai, the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Even if you have to speak in code, we want.
No. I'm actually trying to think of.
I think this means that there's not a whole lot of crazy.
There's not a lot of crazy.
It sounds like okay. Is it
I like
true?
the
Can you
crazy.
just leave your wallet on top of your car and walk away?
Yeah.
You go to a Starbucks, you leave your laptop on the table, you
no-
walk
no
away,
problem.
you forget it for 2 days, you come back, it's still there.
No problem. Yeah.
That sounds nice.
Yeah.
No,
It's incredibly safe. I'd say like the crime that does exist, like there's like white collar, like super high financial
Crime.
I'm sure that exists, but in terms of like theft, like if a murder happens in Dubai, it's like it's the biggest story like ever.
Wow.
Right. So like violent crime.
You're selling me on Dubai, I gotta say.
right?
Violent crime, assaults, theft, that sort of stuff. It's virtually non-existent. It's
All right,
virtually
what
non-existent.
about gold in the vending machines?
I've never seen gold in a vending machine. There's an entire gold
I
souk.
did, but it was on TV. So
Okay, there's a
gotta
giant
ask.
gold souk. And
What
there's
about fathers, honor killing type of thing?
No.
Not in Dubai. Okay,
no.
fair enough. I'm being sold on Dubai, honestly.
No.
Pornography.
Also not allowed.
Pornography? No, not allowed.
Not allowed.
Not allowed.
Impure thoughts?
Impure thoughts. But look.
Nope, not
But I
allowed.
mean, VPNs exist.
Yes, like if that's your main
What? No more
thing,
weekends.
then
You don't have weekends?
yeah. The thing there is really if you have no plans on like harming people or stealing from people, or being like let's say like
Like
just,
if you wanted to read a book to a
massively-
bunch of kids dressed up in drag?
No, they don't. No,
that's not gonna happen.
You-
Honor killings would definitely happen then.
their main thing is just be respectful of people. So even when it comes to like the you were asking about like the First Amendment.
I think we
right?
need to go investigate this.
So the First Amendment, like there's not an equivalent of the First Amendment in in any other country, let alone in UAE, right? It is a predominantly Islamic country on paper, even though it's quite liberalized, partly due to its population. Like religions are actually like all protected, not just Islam. Okay. So in the USA, like if someone wanted to, I don't know, burn a Bible or, burn down the US flag or whatever, you can because of, the
Free
First Amendment.
speech, yeah.
I personally question why you'd want to do that. You can't do that there. Right. But it's the same, whether it's the Quran, whether it's the Bible, whether it's like a Hindu holy book, like they're just like, look, just
be respectful.
They're like, look, people are here from all over the world.
Right.
Just be nice and be respectful to people. Right. Like, period. Like
Yeah.
that's really what it is. So if you did want
Can
to
you
go
imagine
there
if they
and,
did that in
like,
America? Just be respectful.
Yeah, that's really
Just be respectful
that's
of
really
people.
that's really all it is.
You'd get an American in your
Yeah.
face like, I can be disrespectful if I want to.
Yeah, like I'll have online, like I'll say something positive about Dubai and I'll immediately have people like, oh, I'll go out in the street and burn a Quran and see what happens to you. And I'm like, why would
No,
I?
we just burn
I'm
young
ki- I'm
women
kinda
on
like,
trains.
I'm a bit like, why would I want to? I wouldn't do that in the UK. I wouldn't do that in the UK. I wouldn't do that in, like even if I myself were not a religious person, like why would I want to just disrespect
Somebody else's
like
religion.
billions of
Yeah.
if that's what you're compelled to and that's the top priority for you, then okay, like live in a place where you can do that. But part of the reason why the society works and functions and is so safe and peaceful is because everyone kind of agrees. Okay,
Respect.
we're
It
not
goes
gonna
a
do
long
that.
way.
And there is there's churches, there's synagogues, there's obviously mosques, there's temple. Like you're free to practice your religion.
Right.
What about-
Just don't be crazy about it.
What about movies? Could you play just about anything in a theater, or are they censored?
movies
Are they
are-
censored at all? The way China will say,
No, they
well,
don't-
Tom Cruise can't wear a jacket that has
Yeah.
Taiwan on it.
Yeah, no,
Is
that-
there any
I-
no-nos to the
I
movies?
don't believe they censor movies. When I grew up in Saudi Arabia, they did.
Yeah.
I don't know what their rule in Saudi is on that now, but in the UAE, I don't think so. I think they just put stuff out in the cinemas as is.
What do you think are some of the biggest kind of learning lessons that the West could potentially adopt that they could learn from Dubai?
Don't tolerate crime.
What?
Like this sort of.
That's so racist of you. You racist big. How dare you?
And by the way, when I say,
I mean, but the government
By the way,
is part of it.
yes. By the way, here when I say crime, like let's even just like, you know, because some people are like, oh, what are you defining as a crime? I'm like, I mean, the obvious stuff that we all agree is a crime: robbing people,
Setting people on fire.
yes, assaulting people, murdering people. Like no society, whether you're liberal, conservative, like no society should tolerate that. Like you shouldn't just, you know, you go to California and you go to the shop, everything's behind glass and you need to like get a key to get toothpaste and they're just like letting people rob I'm just like, this is insane. Yeah. Like there's nothing, who's this helping or benefiting? Like you can't just let people.
Those are leftist policies.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen in Florida.
Yeah, good. And
we don't
have that. Most store owners are carrying.
As they should be. It should just be like, look.
Don't try that in Florida because
nobody's going to come to your house and execute your squirrel and your raccoon while they let a woman get burnt on the subway.
Yeah,
you know?
that's New York City.
The thing that's interesting is like every Western country used to agree with this as well. Like it's the same in the UK. Like they're too soft on. You know, what's weird in our countries is sometimes it's like they can go super hard. They can go, right, you were talking about Ross Ulbricht, right? Mm-hmm. So they can go super hard, throw the entire book at someone who has not physically harmed a person.
Right.
Right? They sold some marijuana, they sold some weed, or they
there's a
ran
few
a
other
website,
drugs, but I mean, you know.
Yeah, but like.
He wasn't hurting anyone.
Yeah, sure. But I'm speaking broadly, not just about his case, right?
But
there's people who, you know, and then there can be someone who quite literally has been like assaulting people. They've been arrested 15 times for assaulting people, and they've done this and they've done this, and then lo and behold, they finally kill someone or whatever, and then it all comes out that they have like. So and I'm just like, what's going on? The same happens in the UK, by the way. Yeah. So you'll have like someone will literally stab someone.
But I mean, you kind of we're talking about like there's no real democracy. Yeah, dude, like the government doesn't really care. Like this isn't about protecting us; it's about protecting them. Who are the biggest drug dealers in this country?
The CIA.
It's true.
Pretty much. Yeah. In the Middle East, we have, a couple monarchs. In the United States, we have Jeffrey Epstein's client list. That, of course,
I'll tell you another.
calls the shots.
I'll tell you one more thing that obviously get rid of taxes. Another thing that I think is good there, I touched on one earlier, which is prioritizing your citizens. And prioritizing your citizens doesn't mean that you're not welcoming to visitors or foreigners or immigrants. It just means like, hey, you're an American citizen, you're an American passport holder. You should have certain, and I'm not going to say rights, right? But like benefits as a taxpayer.
I agree with this. We should remove taxes for all American citizens. Let's go.
Starting with
starting
that.
Starting with all of us. But let's. Yeah. I agree with you.
I'm generally, as you know, like I'm against tax, period. But if tax is to exist, it should serve the citizens of the nation. Predominantly,
that's a crazy idea.
I know. What a crazy thing you're saying.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I've told some people.
How do you expect the politicians to live off of that?
Yeah, like I actually had this conversation last week with someone because I was, interestingly, Tucker Carlson was in Dubai a week ago because he spoke at a conference.
Did you meet with him?
No, I was in the States, but I saw a clip from what he was talking about, and he was talking about how he was talking to this Emirati lady, and she was talking about how the government paid for her wedding and so on. And I sort of shared the clip, and someone, again, I just remember someone commented something about like how the government, it's not the government's job to like pay for people's weddings or whatever. I'm like, in theory, I don't even disagree with you.
Right.
But if they're already taking 50%, if they're already taxing you to the tune of trillions, why don't they do something that benefits the citizens? I don't know if this is something about like making it easier maybe make it easier for people to like get married and have kids or like buy a house.
If they're going to be taking trillions of dollars off of you, why don't they expose Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah, do something.
Well, they started to.
At least in the Swedens and the Finlands and the Norways, like you can see some of the they're getting shafted on taxes, but hey, they get quote unquote free education all the way up to university.
Oh, we've got free government indoctrination here too.
Yeah, they don't have to pay for healthcare out of pocket. So it's like, okay, at least I'd rather just not pay half in taxes and then do that privately. But at least
I don't know. I can't go down this rabbit hole with you. No, I don't want the taxes. Yeah, I don't care what they're gonna give me.
I'm down. I'm down to
But who else
I
is going to
vote- I vote-
finance?
I vote with my feet.
Who else is going to finance the larger extortion of the Jeffrey Epstein client list? I mean, we need particular taxes just to hold the rabble in control, and that's exactly what taxes are.
I think Americans need to get angrier on that issue.
Yeah.
Because wasn't the whole revolt like partly against the British?
4% tax on tea.
Yep.
We love tea more than we love anything else in this country.
Absolutely. And it seems we forgot about that, as the taxation is just absolutely insane in this country. I mean, just trying to get in touch with the IRS or trying to even get a grip and understanding of what's going on here is just so mind-boggling, especially with the experiences that I've been having within the last few months and weeks, and even yesterday specifically calling them, and then they just randomly hang up. No explanation, like you're in the middle of the conversation. Boop.
Oh, that happens to you too?
Yeah.
Oh.
45 minutes
twice
on hold.
yesterday.
Yeah. I thought I was only me. I'm so glad to hear I'm
We're
not alone.
supposed to call today, and then they're going to increase penalties and interest tomorrow. So there's that.
When did income tax start in the USA?
1913.
1913.
Yep.
Yeah.
With the onset of the U.S. Federal Reserve banking system, the quasi-private, not so public bank that, of course, is just with fractional reserve banking, absolutely indebting this country.
Isn't it interesting how it takes less than one lifetime to convince an entire population that the society can't even function without the thing? Because if you even
It helps if you're indoctrinating their children from birth.
it's just kind of crazy. Like if I even float the idea of like abolishing taxes, even just income taxes, like the way people defend taxes so aggressively.
People defend mutilating their kids too.
Oh boy.
Think of COVID.
Yeah, think of COVID. People were like, "No, my neighbor needs to go to jail because he decided to walk outside of the house without a mask." It's very easy to convince people to work against themselves. It's wild to me how easy humans are to convince.
Well, it depends. Not all of them. I mean, there's a subsection of individuals that, of course, don't go along with the propaganda, that resist it, that, of course, expose it.
Most of them are here in this room.
It's about
They're called
I'd say
Trumpers.
10 to 20%.
Yeah, maybe.
10 to 20%. Yeah.
And we're the type of population that I think the government wants to get rid of. I think we are the target.
But there's good news.
But they need people like us.
We didn't bite. But
yet.
what's the next one going to be, though?
There's definitely something coming next.
2.0.
I think the drone stuff is
People are
interesting.
waking up, though.
Yeah.
I think the
waking up,
drone
'cause
shit's bait. I think it's bait.
I think the fact that the people can have their criticisms of Elon, and some are valid and some I don't think are, but the fact that he bought Twitter
Yay.
is,
and then mess with the algorithm when people were talking about him.
I know it's not perfect, but
This is a Tulsi Gabbard thing all over again. I'm just saying, if we make an excuse,
I respect Martha's principled stances, like I do, but like I've been on Twitter for almost 16 years. And I joined 2009, and I remember like things started from 2009 to about 2014. It was kind of like it is now. It was kind of pretty Wild Westy, unless you were making a terroristic threat or posting I don't know,
doxing people's addresses.
Doing something that
was the first kind of censorship
clearly
that
out of
happened.
line, right? Like it was pretty hard to get your account deleted. And then I remember like 2015, the walls started to close in. 2015, 2016,
Trump.
Well, I mean, I remember when they took out certain people as well. I remember when they took out Milo, Gavin McInnes, Alex Jones, because Alex Jones, they did the same thing with Trump, where it was like all on the same day, all the platforms yeeted him. And then of course the peak censorship was during the whole COVID era, and it was getting to the point where I was logging in every day. Like, I hope I still have my account kind of thing.
Same.
Because so many people got kicked off, and it wasn't just on Twitter. It was like all the platforms were doing the same. Facebook,
the funny thing is
Instagram,
they
YouTube.
never yeeted, like terrorist organization leaders. We've got the dictator of Cuba still has his account. Dictator of Venezuela has his account. So it's like
terrorist organizations were running their own websites and own social media campaigns, but people couldn't express their political expressions. But
I just think putting the crack in the dam of that like building censorship complex has changed the game. Because if they wouldn't have been able to pull off the COVID psyop the way they did if people had been able to speak.
If you were able to be like, this is BS and I'm not taking this thing and I question it without getting censored, it would be a completely different scenario.
If it was like it is now, For the flaws
I'm not
that still
convinced that
exist,
you
it
can
wouldn't have- no.
PSYOP 2.0, 5.0, 10.0, whatever number we're on, I don't know, is going to be censored as well. I love that everybody.
Absolutely.
I love that
Absolutely.
everybody believes that, like, oh no, Elon Musk, he's one of us.
Everybody's got their price.
Elon, please don't delete my account. I really like my Twitter, but also
It's at
yeah.
Martha Bueno. Martha,
no.
Marratha.
No, it's Bueno for Miami.
for Miami.
Let's just be accurate here. It's Bueno for Miami, and please, Elon,
That's the one
I
you
like
hit,
you so
Elon.
much.
That's
Make
the
sure
one.
you get her
the one.
Instagram too,
Yeah.
and her.
I already got my Facebook
OF.
deleted. Oh
Get
well,
her OF as well.
no, I don't have an OF anymore.
did.
No, but
I did.
it's a huge improvement compared to how it was just a couple years ago.
I agree, and let's see what happens because a lot of people are automatically saying he's totally bad. I'm not happy with the latest changes, but let's see what's going to happen moving forward. As of course, there's going to be a big kind of flux. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to be hopefully disclosed. When that happens, a lot of things are going to be changing in our society. As of course, we also have Trump's Attorney General now promising to release the Jeffrey Epstein list, and she recently said this on Fox News, which I thought was very important.
I want to know why AG Garland and the Justice Department are so quiet on this tonight. You know, they're out there labeling parents domestic terrorists, yet they're saying nothing about this. And these documents were so slow to come out. Human trafficking is a multi-billion-dollar business in this country, and Jeffrey Epstein is dead, and Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison for 20 years where she belongs. And if people in that report are still fighting to keep their names private, Sean, they have no legal basis to do so unless they're a child, a victim, or a cooperating defendant by some chance against some potential case against Ghislaine Maxwell. And I think Mark Garagos, as a great criminal defense attorney, will back that up as well.
Yep, good words. As of course, a lot of people are seeing the Jeffrey Epstein list as the kind of major hallmarker, if it's going to be released, as this larger symbol of the future of the Trump administration. As of course, a lot of those powerful people are still fighting every single day behind the scenes, trying to make sure that the list doesn't get released. There's a reason individuals like Bill Gates doubled down and supported Kamala Harris, and a lot of other really shady, really weird billionaires out there that were making sure that Donald Trump wasn't going to become the next president of the United States. Well, he is. He has promised to release the list. Pam Bondi has spoken about this before. So has Kash Patel, who is set to be the future FBI director. This is what he previously had to say about this particularly very interesting, important issue.
That Bill Gates is lobbying Congress night and day to prevent the disclosure of that list. And why is it that the Senate, and good for Senator Blackburn to try to get it out, but then Dick Durbin comes over the top and says, no, we're not going to release the names. I don't care about the list itself, but if you release the names, right? What the hell are the House Republicans doing?
Yes, as of course, these are going to be two major people, major players in his administration. And if we have this disclosure, if we have these names released, I mean, this could change a lot of things, not just in Hollywood, but in politics as well. As a lot of people are saying, well, if you're on that list, if you're connected to this man, there's probably some compromise on you, and you're probably controlled and not acting on the best behalves of the American people. Who are you working for? What's really going on here? I hope we're going to find out. And I think this is going to be the biggest test for Donald Trump. And I really do hope he takes executive action on this. I really do hope he makes this a major issue, because this could fix a lot of the wrongs in our society and hold accountable a lot of the really awful bad players that really do control the things behind the scenes that we're not privy to.
Oh, my sweet summer child. I don't think that Donald Trump is going to do any of that. I wish he would, but...
Are you taking black pill suppositories, Martha?
Martha's too black pill.
Yeah, right? I mean, listen, there's plenty of... there's plenty of people on that list that are very high up in the government. I don't think that anybody's going to find out. I mean, I'm sorry, I can't. What do you think?
I think it went to the highest bidder.
Yeah, I agree.
That's exactly what happened. The FBI took all the files and they said, we got this file right here.
They went into Jeffrey Epstein's stuff and they took all those videos. I don't believe that if we haven't seen them yet.
Don't you think there's backups?
If we haven't seen it yet, what are the chances? Zuby, come on, give me that positivity.
No, I can only give hopium here.
I'll
don't.
take some.
I don't know. The thing that's in my mind that's kind of fascinating is just kind of the concept of corruption, because I think when you're in the economically developing countries, it could be parts of Latin America, it could be parts of Africa, it could be parts of Middle East, Asia.
It's blatant corruption.
The corruption's in your face.
Yeah, it's blatant.
Yeah,
it's when I grew up in Venezuela, I was like, damn, this place is so corrupt. And then I come to the United States. When I was there, I was like, but United States is like, there's no corruption there. And then you get here and you like really like dig in. You're like, oh my God, everything is corrupt.
It's a question of sophistication.
Yes, they're so good at it here.
Western countries, especially the USA, it's just like there's just layers of it. So it's not going to be like the police just stop you in the street.
And you bribe them with like a bottle of whiskey. In Venezuela, if the police stopped you, it's like, oh, officer, what was I doing? I was going to gift you this bottle of whiskey. And they're like, oh, thank you. And they let you off the hook. I mean, it's bad.
Yeah. The U.S. could potentially be the most corrupt country in the world if you actually think of it holistically.
It is definitely like Game of Thrones, only modern,
Because I think it's interesting.
Minus the dragons.
I think now that we have social media and so much access to information and communication, it's easier to see. I mean, we kind of have the same thing.
It's easier to see, but harder to solve.
Yeah, you have the same in the UK as well. So you've probably seen with this whole like quote unquote grooming scandal, right? Mm-hmm. And the Labour government has just blocked an investigation into it. It's like, why would you?
I wonder why they would block an investigation.
It's a little bit like, what is the non-corrupt reason why someone would not want to further investigate the situation where there could be potentially over 100,000 girls and young women who have been sexually assaulted? It's like, and this is not a. This is not a conspiracy. This is like,
I mean, Hillary Clinton was able to delete.
Yeah.
Why do you think
all
Julian
her
Assange
emails
was in jail?
Right.
Yeah,
Why do you
it's
think
wild.
Ross Ulbricht's in jail? Like anybody who like has the potential to change the system. I mean, look at Ghislaine Maxwell, 20 years in jail. Meanwhile, Ross Ulbricht, 240. Clearly, if you're selling children, that should be way worse than selling drugs to adults.
But she sold them to nobody.
Right. She sold them to nobody. So there's that.
Actually, she rented them.
Ugh, because she did. That's actually.
What's horrible?
She actually did rent them.
There's now when they're done with the kids, they harvest their organs when they can't use.
Oh God! Oh no!
When they can't use them anymore.
I'm just like.
Yeah, no. We're like, please no. The bummer that we're on already with the corruption.
Yeah.
I don't need the extra. Thank you. I appreciate it though.
Well,
you're supposed to be the comedy relief, not the like.
We need to wake up and do something about it.
With all these things, like.
We're getting a phone call.
Yeah, I know. We're going to go to callers, too. We have a member of LukeUnfiltered.com who's going to be calling in and asking us a question here.
Right now?
Of course, will be John Black. But finish your thought, Zuby, and then we'll go to John, and then John will turn off his mic.
And, just currently and also historically with all these things, I always just think like, man, I just wonder what the truth is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll never know.
Exactly.
All the COVID stuff, just like what
you got to go to the Diddy parties to find out.
True. I've heard that's going to.
You didn't get invited to any of the Diddy parties?
Do you know what I was thinking?
Whoa!
I'm so.
I'd be careful about answering that.
No. He was like the cleanest clean.
I did not get invited to any Diddy parties. I'm genuinely glad. I genuinely feel like being a musician, being a rapper. When I was in my like late teens or early 20s, right? Of course, you want to like blow up in the industry and this, and I'm always like, man, I think like God protected me from like not getting
the Usher treatment.
Just like I've always operated outside the main industry. Mm-hmm. So you
didn't get the Usher treatment. Is all I'm saying. You weren't 13 getting the Diddy school. What was it that he called the school?
I don't even know. But there's so much weird stuff in like entertainment industry, Hollywood, music industry. You hear all this weird stuff. Yeah, you hear all this weird stuff.
The Nickelodeon, the Disney stuff. Yeah,
and I know a couple of people who personally have.
What was it that Cat Williams said? You got to tell Diddy no. He's gonna want that booty hole.
Yeah. Like I'm kind of glad I don't.
Bless Cat Williams.
I'm kind of glad I don't even know like the details of like what really goes on there because I'm just like, man, like that.
Yeah, you don't want to be in the mainstream.
I don't think you can
the
fit in your
mainstream
head.
people is filled with a lot of weird, dark,
a lot of weird
juju,
stuff.
magic, and awful, just evil people. We're gonna go to callers from a member of LukeUnfiltered.com. We are doing this show live just for members. John, you are live with us. Can you hear us?
I can hear you, brother. How are you today?
I'm very good. Thank you so much for being a member. Thank you so much for calling in. I know we haven't done the show in a little while, but it's always great to have a caller. It's always great to have someone call in, be a part of the show. What is your question? What is your comment for everyone here today, John?
Well, let me say hi to Zuby. What's up?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I definitely missed you guys. Martha.
Hi, John.
Definitely miss Steph. The young lady that replaced Clint is definitely an upgrade.
Hell yeah.
Who are they talking
Luke,
about?
Me. She's talking about me. Okay.
No, I'm talking about the young lady. But
Sure that's Liza.
yeah,
Who's he talking about?
I'm talking
He's
about
you,
Liza.
Liza.
You're talking about
Yeah.
me? I'm going to upgrade from Clint?
Yeah, apparently.
Holy crap.
And here I was taking the credit for it.
You guys have the same testosterone levels.
All right, buddy, pull my
Ouch.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Clint.
Oh,
Clint made his choice. He stopped, and he's hanging out with retards now. So it's cool. I guess. I guess I miss you too, Luke. But I see you a couple days a week. My point was just I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but a couple of hours ago, the president and or whichever one of Obama's surrogates that's pushing his buttons.
Kristen Gillibrand. I think you're talking about U.S. Senator Kristen Gillibrand here.
Is tweeted out that the 28th Amendment is the law of the land. And of course, that was codified by the esteemed Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, who also pointed out that the 28th Amendment is the law of the land. Not going too deep into the weeds on the ERA, but it's older than I am. So it was proposed and set out and was given to the states to be ratified. And I'm not sure if those guys know how government works, but it has to be ratified by 3/4 of the states, and it was not ratified. They extended it. They gave it time, and it did not make its extension. And the National Archivist did not record it. So I'm not sure how the president can unilaterally make the decision for there to be a 28th Amendment when it missed its mark. And and we're talking by a lot since 1972. So these guys are throwing everything that they possibly can at the wall to make it stick. And it's sad to see the state of our country when we have just inept people just trying to just make stuff up on their way out. And I don't know how you guys feel about it, but the Constitution is sacrosanct, and there's policies in place for a reason. And I just not that I disagree with anything that's in the 28th Amendment, but I agree with most of what's in the Constitution. Some of the amendments, like Martha was talking about, I could do without. 1913 was not a good year for us.
No, it definitely wasn't. And then created the income tax as well, which isn't fun, and I'm dealing with larger problems with right now. But anyway, what you're bringing up, I agree with you. It's such an absurd story. I don't know if you guys have seen this one.
Yep.
U.S. Senator Kristen Gillibrand says that President Biden just declared that the Equal Rights Amendment is now a valid part of the Constitution. That's not how it works there, ma'am. As of course, this is a sitting U.S. Senator. As Joe Biden tweeted 8 hours ago, today I am affirming what I have long believed, and that is the 3/4 of the states have ratified the 28th Amendment. Again, very vague kind of language about equal rights and protections under the laws regarding sex. And again, this is not how our system works here. This is a weird story, since there's even a community note here that is reading: the National Archivist, who is responsible for enrolling new amendments, has stated that the era has not been fully lawfully ratified. Yeah, this is just a crazy, absurd kind of declaration by Biden right before he leaves political office, as the left somehow is celebrating this. This is just strange. What do you guys think about it?
I mean, the Constitution hasn't been followed in so long. I don't know why we are why we're even like surprised.
Girl, you are so black-pilled. What the deuce?
But is it like, am I wrong
Man,
though?
do you need some alcohol or some weed or something?
Yeah, you know, I'm off the weed, and that's just turning. Yeah, that's it's totally.
It.
You know, it has the thing about weed that people don't talk about is how happy it makes people. Okay, because now I'm like, I'm like, okay, but
makes people paranoid too.
Yes, it does.
Well, people who suffer from schizophrenia maybe, but I'm not one of those people. I'm just saying, like, okay, guys, like John was just saying, like they're not following the laws, and they're just like kind of like
they're pushing it. They want to see how far they can go before you make them enforce the laws.
But I'm wondering what's going to happen when Trump goes in, like, because all these
we're
things
going to find out.
Yeah, all these things that Biden's like, on my way out, I'm going to do all of these things. Like, he also removed Cuba from the state sponsor of
Biden
terrorism.
doesn't know what he had for breakfast. He isn't doing anything.
Well, it's not Biden, but okay, his administration. So he's undoing all of these things on his way out, and now pushing the 28th Amendment. And you know, it's like, can he just leave? Can we just like pull the plug on Biden like early?
I think this highlights something that's interesting, and you know, I'm far from an expert on any of this stuff. I'm not even American, but I think it somewhat highlights to me the need for having a population be informed in civics and the
they remove civics out of the
yeah,
like, if you had to know all of it before you could vote, no one would vote.
It concerns me that I seem to know more about like American laws and branches of government and the way the country works than most Americans do.
So does Atlas. Atlas knows more about
don't
it.
say that on
shouldn't
YouTube.
be the case. And I think the reason they can get away with so much stuff
is because most people have no clue.
Yeah, because people don't even know. Like,
how does that not make you black-pilled, though? It's like, hey, here's your new amendment to the Constitution. Yay!
Like,
women's rights and DEI.
Wait a minute. Don't we lose all our rights?
Like, I'll tell you
Holy
when this
crap,
was
I'm going to lose all my rights in just a couple of days.
Yeah, like,
Are they going to take my driver's license or what?
Like, this was highlighted to me so much.
They'd probably be happy for that.
You know, like,
Whoa.
I'm publicly, everyone people know that I'm very pro-life personally, but when that whole conversation was happening around like the whole Roe versus Wade thing, and the response, I was like, these responses don't even make sense, because even if that's overturned, it just means it goes back to the states. It doesn't mean like this is a federal ban, or so. Like, the way people were even responding, I'm like, you don't even get like. I'm not even from here.
It's just a tax on poor people, really, because if you're poor, you can't travel out of state to go get an abortion somewhere else. But to your point, I agree.
The basic function, like whether someone is for or against this thing, I'm like, that's not even what
this is about.
Conversation is. Yeah,
it's about going back to the states' rights.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Most people have not a clue what happens in government. They're not familiar with our laws. They don't know what's in the Constitution. I wonder how many Americans have actually read the Constitution. Like you said, we are one of the only countries, if not the only countries in the world, where our rights don't come from the government. Our rights come from our creator, or from whatever it is that you want to call.
Do you know how many Americans I've explained that to?
And this is the problem. You know,
I'm like, why am I explaining
as
this?
an immigrant?
You can't fix stupid.
Yeah, as the children of immigrants, I understand why my parents chose the United States, why they came here.
It was close. Just kidding. You should have seen your face.
I'm like, what? What?
Did you see her face? Man?
I'm like,
I hope the camera was on her.
I think it was. I was just looking at you, the Dexter.
Why do you think I did it?
You know, I think that most Americans just don't understand our laws, don't understand why we have them, and it's just it's so sad.
Yeah.
I mean, take your kids out of public indoctrination camps.
That's exactly what they are.
Yeah, you see it a lot with like Second Amendment stuff, First Amendment as well, where like
go past First and Second. Ask Americans what the
what
Third
is
Amendment is. What's the Fourth? What's the Fifth? Like, most people don't know.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the second. The
people
rest
know
of
like
them kind of go past
1,
me.
2, 19, and maybe 13. People know 13, right? 1, 2, 9, 13, 19.
I'm like 1 and 2. I'm good.
Well, people know the Fifth because it's like I plead the Fifth. So you know the Fifth. The Fifth
that
is
one
kind
too.
of important.
I'm checked out on that one too.
14th is important.
What's the 14th?
Oh, you're still there, John?
Yeah, the 19th. I mean, oh boy. Don't get me started on that one.
We're gonna.
We need those Nerf guns. We need those Nerf guns.
I am buying the Nerf guns for the next show.
Please.
All right, so we're gonna need we're going to need the 14th Amendment when they challenge the Dobbs decision with whatever case they bring for Roe, because we're going to need the 14th Amendment to say when personhood starts.
What is the
court's going to?
Hold on.
The 14th Amendment has the word citizen in the first sentence, but then goes on and then has the word person. So people equate citizen and person, but an unborn child to me is a person being pro-life, and the court's going to have to rule on that. And once they rule on that, then
That's going to get interesting.
Then I believe that abortion may be abolished. The thing that I was thinking about the Equal Rights Act with in regards to a couple of things was if they push that through and they use the ambiguous wording, and of course everything is adjudicated through the courts now, which is why Trump needs to fire 100,000 people on day one to get the ball rolling on that court case. But when they're talking about transgender rights, and we had the first transgender lawyer argue in front of the Supreme Court, there was a gotcha question, and gender is not an immutable right, like being a man or a woman or having race.
Man.
So
wow, that's really in the weeds there, John.
Dubai is a lot more simple.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but it's possible that gender may not be a protected class based on the way the court is set up right now.
Why would it be a protected class?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Why do we need special treatment under, right? I like, why do I need a specific class? We should all be equal under the law. I don't understand why anyone needs a protected class.
Except children.
Well, I can see some reasons.
I think children should be like the only protected class.
So
I agree. I think
we can get rid of this. We can get rid of the Civil Rights Act then.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm good with. I'm good.
Now
I'm
we're
good with
talking.
it. I'm good with it. I won't say.
Turned it upside down.
yeah, like
I
I don't
won't
understand
say
why special people need special rights. Why is it not everybody with the same rights?
Yeah, and I won't say anything about the 19th Amendment, ladies.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I appreciate y'all. One more parting thought is I don't know if you saw the confirmation hearings, but I don't know what you got in the water down in Florida. But Pam Bondi is older than Kristen Gillibrand. So, and if you looked at the two side by side, you'd say yuck.
Yes.
Which one would
the
you say
orange
yuck
juice.
to?
It's the orange juice that allegedly is the secret fountain of youth here.
Wait, I'm not a guy and I haven't compared them. Which one is the yuck?
Pam Bondi is
just look up those two photos yourselves, and then you can see a clear
Luke,
difference.
Come on, bring it up on the screen.
The Republican is
pretty
effective.
She's
Good
good looking.
versus evil. Evil people always look worse.
It's the orange juice here in Florida, I guess.
I have a bit of a left field question that I'm curious for you guys to give me your predictions on. 100 years from now, do you think the USA will still be one country?
No.
Who cares? I'll be dead.
Absolutely not.
I don't think so.
Okay. You don't think I'll be dead?
Oh my God, Pam
Here's
Bondi
the
is
comparison
gorgeous.
that we have here.
Holy
Pam
crap.
Bondi is 59, Gillibrand is 58. So, yes.
It's the Florida sun. It's the Florida orange juice, and it's this equivalent that we. No, it was the equivalent of what we said earlier about men and their testosterone. I think women who are. I mean, if you look, and I don't anybody who's on the left that's like, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't mean to call you out, but it's true. People who are conservative generally are better looking.
Yeah, the leftoids aren't that pretty.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true.
John, thank you so much for calling in. Thank you so much for being a member. Really means a lot that we're doing these members show just for you guys. And it really means a lot that you guys get to call in, be a part of the show, get to ask us questions about topics that we wouldn't normally talk about if it wasn't for you guys bringing them up. I think you're a first-time caller too, John. So I think you get a free supplement on wearechange.shop. Would you like the Chill Pill, Essential Fatty, or Magnesium Glycinate? We're going to mail you out a free supplement at the end of this video. Which one would you like?
Oh, I'm going to need the chill pill. I've been fighting with state government over a really horrible school voucher bill here in the state of Tennessee. So I'm gonna need the chill. I'm gonna need the chill pill because my inner monologue is nothing but profanity.
Got it.
So.
The chill pill ashwagandha helps you normalize your cortisol levels. So that could definitely help during stressful situations when you have to deal with government. John, thank you so much for calling in. Thank you so much for being a member. We're going to mail you out that supplement from wearechange.shop right after this video. We're going to be in touch with you on the Telegram channel. Stay tuned for the next live broadcast, which should be next Wednesday or Thursday. We're going to let our members know it's only going to be live for members that get to call in, chat, and be a part of it. And then we're just going to upload it to the regular channel afterwards. John, really appreciate you. Thank you so much for calling in.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Luke. Steph, you said way too much today.
I know.
And
As
Mark,
usual. Oh, her camera isn't even working. It's all
Check your
good.
DMs. I've already messaged you for the chill pill.
She's busy
And
working
Martha,
behind the scenes.
Yo, that line you dropped there, I must say, like, as a rapper, that actually sounded like a bar.
What?
My inner monologue is nothing but profanity. That's like a lyric.
It is. It was good.
I think I'm going to use that.
Put that in a song. That's like a.
I'm going to
that's
use
a
that.
bar right
Can
there.
Zuby use that line? Is the question.
That's a poetry right there. That was a good line.
no doubt. If you ever want me to write anything, just let me know.
Okay. Yeah, I might drop it in a song one day, man. I'll give you a shout out somehow.
John, thank you so much for calling in. Call in any other time you wanted to call in. Always appreciate the callers. They always provide a different kind of perspective. This was a pretty good show, I think. We got into a lot of different topics. I thought this was a great show. There's a lot of crazy news happening, and I think we kind of delved into it with a larger perspective of also getting to know you in a good way. So I thank you for your time. I thank the members for watching. Again, sign up to LukeUnfiltered.com. Get to be a part of the show live as it happens. You could send us news articles, you could call in, you could comment, and of course you guys get priority over everyone else. Again, we're dealing with a very unfortunate situation with the IRS, but then also specifically with another streaming company. We're going to figure it all out, and we're going to allow a certain amount of time to kind of pass by to allow people to fix the certain situations that we're in, since we're not in the best of ones, but we're going to keep working throughout these very difficult situations, as I think we still have to ask you your most controversial opinion. We do a 5-10 minute segment just for members about that, so stay tuned for that. That's another members only video that you guys get for signing up. Before getting out of here, Zuby, where can people find out more information about you? Where can they support all the work that you're doing?
Yeah, sure. I'm easy. I'm on all social media at Zuby Music. That is ZUBY Music. You can follow me on there and check out my music and my podcast called Real Talk with Zuby. Just search Zuby, ZUBY, on all platforms: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Apple Music, whatever you use. Just search my name, Zuby.
But do not miss the weightlifting thing he did.
Yeah, that was great. That was pretty awesome.
I was drinking coffee when I saw it, and the coffee came out of my nose. It was that good.
Good times.
Brilliant stuff. As of course, Martha, you could take some weightlifting lessons from Zuby, right?
Martha's in great shape.
Thanks, Luke. I probably can lift more than you at this point.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm. Listen, you might be better at the range, but I'm not so sure at the gym. Anyways, y'all can find me at Bueno from Miami on X and on Instagram.
I'm gonna tell Elon to ban you.
You do that, Luke. Once he refollows you, okay?
I was his earliest follow.
Yeah.
He unfollowed you?
And he
I
unfollowed
unfollowed
me.
him. Listen, I check almost daily to see if Jeff Bezos still follows me, okay?
I know why he unfollowed me too, but I have to keep that story private. But it's not what you think it is. It's actually pretty ridiculous. But anyway.
Well, he's not short, so it couldn't be a high chair.
No, it's not that. Liza, where can people find your lesbian takes?
Oh, damn.
My YouTube channel's back up. My YouTube channel's been there since like 2009. It just got nuked. I was like, are you serious? So I had to, dispute it. And they were like, oh, okay, you're boring. So they put it back up. So anyway, you can find me on X.
That was a great sale. Yeah.
Well, it's just
run, everybody. Don't.
It's just my movie stuff that's on there. All my movie stuff that I do is on there. And on X, that's where I make all my memes. So Liza Trainer X on X, and I'm totally shadow banned. If you go to it, everything on there is
You
covered.
have viral memes. You're not shadow banned.
I just can't put them on
You're
my
not.
channel. I can't put anything on my channel.
Oh my God, I went viral. I'm blocked. No, you're not. No, you're not. That's how that works.
Elon Musk has actually shared my memes, and I can't.
Oh my
and
God,
I can't
I'm
share
shadow
them.
banned.
Make a meme to ban Martha, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
You like
Appreciate
the
that.
meme I sent you? That one was crazy.
Send it to me.
I
want to
showed
see.
you outside. Didn't I show you that
No,
one?
you didn't.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
You made a meme about me? I'm
no,
honored.
No, about him. No.
Steph, again, you're talking way too much.
Steph We Are Change. Thanks everyone for tuning in. You can find me on X at StephWRC. You can find me on IG at Steph We Are Change.
All right,
Love you.
Atlas, lead us out of here. Speak. Atlas, speak. Good job. All right, stay tuned for more, guys. Appreciate you guys watching, supporting independent media. It really means a lot to us during these very difficult times. Stay tuned for more here on LukeUnfiltered.com.